Hello, I'm Ice here, and I was just going to listen to the new CloudNone's EP, but to be honest, since Hideout stopped being a ranking channel, I lost part of my investment in always listening to the latest Monstercat releases, because even though ranking songs is admittedly pretty pointless in the sense of putting songs above each other, it did give a space for people to see what other people thought about the releases, where they could give their own opinions and see if they were amongst the common thought in the community. And even though Hideout Rundown is a very cool series, I've watched all the episodes, I'm still kind of missing a more concise format that only focuses on one thing to hopefully have a similar effect to those ranking videos. So I thought of listening to this EP here and giving my thoughts to see how it goes and if anyone likes it. Admittedly, when CloudNone came out with his debut EP, Welcome to London, I was hardly a big fan of it. I thought that most of it sounded pretty underwhelming and repetitive, especially Spring Snow, which a lot of people like. But as he kept releasing, I began to like him more and more, and his older releases grew on me. I don't know what Midnight Underground had that made me like it a lot more. Maybe it's that the songs sounded fuller and more fleshed out, but I still think that's his best EP to date, with Blue to Blue being my favorite song of his. After he had kind of a brief decline with Out There and the Lost and Found EP, which felt like watered down versions of what he'd already put out. But in my opinion, since then, he's only gone up. He released Changed, Wish, and even Anonymous, which are very much my cup of tea. In fact, Wish is one of my favorite songs of last year. Then his last double single EP with Direct was honestly fantastic. And even though the drop of Lights Out I found to be a bit jarring because of the constant vocals, it was still a really cool song. So yeah, I'm excited to listen to the entire EP. I would say that I like his house and garage pretty much about the same, so maybe his future house slightly less so, but I'm looking forward to seeing which side this is more about. So I'll begin with the first song, which is 351. Okay, yeah, that was a really nice house song. It did the thing that a few CloudNone songs do, where the initial hit of the drop is not very present, and it's a smooth switch instead, only hitting a bit later when the drop evolves and louder synths and percussion come in. It works, but to be honest, it doesn't prevent me from being a bit underwhelmed when the drop first plays, but it gets better. I'll definitely have to highlight the midsection in this song. I really enjoyed the lush chords there and how they stay when the second drop happens, which makes it a very solid song, maybe slightly too long for my liking. It's almost 5 minutes, but it's a strong start for sure. I'd say the only reason it didn't feel as great as some of his other house songs of this style is that the melody didn't connect with me as much as Wishes, for example, but I enjoyed it, and I doubt I'll ever get tired of these if he keeps making them. I'll move on to Speedrun to keep it brief, which is an interesting title for me because I've done many speedruns for many games under a different name. And I definitely have some friends that would flame him for spelling it in 2 words instead of 1, because for some reason that was a topic of controversy a while ago in the speedrunning community, like they want you to spell it with a single word. But whatever. Yeah, I'm excited to see what the song is about. That was a really interesting song. It had a lot of cool melodies and sounds. Having just finished it, the main thing that bothered me was that the melody didn't really change during the second half of the song very much. It just kept repeating. So despite how short the song is, it became a little stale, also because the melody is really short. The intro was super cool though, with the choppy piano. It's a bit of a stretch, but it kind of reminded me of some Mario Kart Wii songs. Like, evidently the song is trying to give off that game feeling with some chipped-in sounds that fortunately don't fill up the entire song. But it's impressive that he also achieved it with just melodies, all while very much still sounding like a CloudNone song. I don't think it's gonna leave a lasting impression on me. It felt a bit one note and just kinda went by, but I could see this really appealing to some people, and it was a cool listen. Maybe I would really like it if the melody evolved a bit more just beyond the leads changing, because I'm pretty sure the intro, drops, and midsection all kept going with the same melody. But it was a refreshing song with a really well-achieved, uplifting mood. For the title song, Lights Out, I already gave my thoughts before, kind of. The off drops are really enjoyable. It's a bit funny because the vocals are quieter than I would like here, but then are overly present in the drops. It's a song I'd take in differently on different days, though I found it to be really catchy sometimes, whereas if I'm not in the mood for it, I would quickly find it to be very obnoxious and extremely repetitive. I definitely like the brief outro where the vocals fade away in the drop and you really get to appreciate how satisfying and bouncy the instrumental is. But besides that, it's not a song that really appeals to me that much, so I'll listen to Loner, which seems to be an interlude. Honestly, that was really good. The wobbly bass was incredibly pleasant, and the background plugs accompanied it really well. Like, it's a short interlude with no drop, but I don't feel the way it did with On Holiday, the interlude of Midnight Underground, because I really enjoyed that interlude. But I really wished for it to go somewhere and be part of an actual song, whereas Loner actually felt like its own standalone thing that didn't just cut off abruptly and was thrown in feeling like an unfinished intro to a song. So that was satisfying. Also, I don't know how to explain this, but it had those unintelligible atmospheric vocals that are usually not my thing, which Welcome to London was full of, and they sometimes put me off because they sound like highly edited vocal chops to a point where all you can distinguish is that they were once vocals. But this is not the case. Here they're still mumble vocals, but since they're not so clearly chopped, they just feel like someone's singing in a language that I cannot understand. Like, I listened to this song twice, and it really feels like it's someone sincerely not singing, but almost crying on top of the instrumental, presumably the Loner the title refers to. So I think that part's really well achieved. I was a big fan. I'll move on to the last song of the EP, Miss Being Happy, featuring Drowsy.
I think you'll be happy the moment that I am gone.
Wow, okay, that was definitely my favorite one here. CloudNone's is usually great at making his songs feel very pleasant to listen to and blissful, but usually the atmosphere he goes for is a more hopeful or just serene one. This took me by surprise because even though it has all the elements to form a usual CloudNone's song, it felt a lot more miserable and pessimistic than his other music. The vocals were good and helped achieve that, but I would attribute most of it to the melody, because at the start when the vocals came in it was like, oh, I see what he's going for. But it only really worked and clicked when the lead melody came in, especially the synth that appears just to layer the last two notes of the melody during the drop. Like, it felt like one of those rare cases where the instrumental did more of the talking, because even though the song starts and the vocals first appear and say the line, I miss being happy, not sure I even was, then the song goes, okay, I said that, now let me show it, and is able to pretty much one-up those great vocals with just the instrumental and the drop tones. That was really good. I think this is the only song from the EP that I will add to my playlist, but it was all around a great listen, as expected. Despite how often CloudNone releases, he's really not getting stale or losing his consistency. Even the songs that I'm less of a fan of, like Urban Foxes, they simply don't click with me, but are not by any means bad, so this EP was pretty much as good as I expected, maybe even better. I'll say though that after listening to the last song, I hope his next project will have a bit less house and more stuff along those lines, where the intent is not just to have a pleasant song with really clean plugs and melodies, but to me it's clear, right, that he's able to go a step further and make something that feels more meaningful and cohesive. But anyway, hopefully some of you enjoyed this. I haven't read much discussion about these EP pretty much at all, so I would like to know the way people feel about these songs. So bye and thank you for watching this.